Citing sources is not everyone's favorite thing to do, but we know we should. The good news is, once you understand why it matters and how to build a citation, it stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a part of the research itself. Here's what we'll cover in today's video: why citing your sources matters. If you understand the why behind the how, it may make it easier. I'll briefly discuss the Genealogical Proof Standard, or the GPS. We'll go over the three different types of sources to better understand them. Building citations involves the five W's every citation should have. You'll see why they aren't so bad. And I'll give you plenty of examples of how to build common source citations. Then I'll give you some tips and resources and help you avoid common mistakes. We are all guilty of this. It's late in the evening and we're on the hunt for our brick wall ancestor. We find some records and attach them to our tree, but we strike out on others. The ones we do save have a note like immigration record, great grandpa, found online. We don't write anything else, and then it's on to the next bright, shiny object. When you do go back, like you told yourself you would, you can't find the record again. Which website? What year? It's just one more questionable record that meant something when you found it, but it doesn't mean anything now. The lesson of today's topic: if you can't make a full citation in the moment, write down the pieces you know you'll need when you do have the time. Book Evidence Explained by Elizabeth Shown Mills. She writes, citation is an art, not a science. As long as you're getting the main pieces so you can find the sources you used again, there is no right way. Do you know the expression, perfect is the enemy of good? Don't feel like these have to be perfect to make them. Just do your best. There are many reasons to cite your sources. Keep in mind that you cite facts that are not common knowledge. For example, if you're talking about when the Civil War began and ended, you don't need to cite it because it's common knowledge. But if you want to write about a soldier who fought in the Civil War, any information you find will need a citation because that is not commonly known. First, you will forget where you found that record and you'll want to be able to find it again or tell someone else how to find it. Your citation is your way back to finding the source. Next, by looking at a citation, you can see how reliable a source it is. If someone is citing an index, you know it's less reliable than when someone cites an original record. Reliability is easy to spot. Third, if you share your work with anyone or with yourself years from now, you want to be able to verify your work and build on it. Next, if you write good citations and keep a research log, you will have less of a chance of having to search again for that same source in the future. And lastly, in genealogy, you want to meet the genealogical proof standard if you can. When you want to prove something, you follow the five steps known as the Genealogical Proof Standard, or GPS for short. It's what I follow as a professional genealogist, but it's not only for professionals, it's what we all strive for in producing quality work, even when it's just our own. Reasonably exhaustive research. Have you looked at every source that could reasonably answer your research question? Complete and accurate source citations. That's what our focus is here today. Thorough analysis and correlation of evidence. Have you read and analyzed the entire document, and does it all make sense? Resolution of conflicting evidence. Don't leave anything hanging, misunderstood, or in conflict. Work out the problems as you find them. A soundly written conclusion based on the strongest evidence. It's not proof until you write it down. Our sources, we need to understand what we are looking at. Understanding sources is the first step in the evidence analysis process and the only one we'll look at today. Just know that each element feeds into the next. Understanding each stage strengthens your research conclusions. Why the source or document was created. If it's an original source, it was recorded at or near the time of the event, and it was the first recording of the event. A derivative source is a copy, a transcription, an abstract, or an index made from an original source. Making copies means there could be errors, so be mindful of that. An authored source is compiled from many different sources into something new. So now you know a little bit more about how and why sources are created. Let's start building them. The first time you cite a source, you should use a full citation or reference note. This contains all the information necessary to evaluate the source and find it again. This is what we will focus on today. A subsequent or short note can be used if you've cited the source once already in full and are using that source again. Footnotes are preferable to endnotes in genealogy. You want to keep your citations with the material they reference. So, in case you share part of your work with someone, you will not separate the source from its citation. Had digitized records, you held the source you were using like a book, or you used the source in person like a microfilm. That called for a simple one-layered citation. But now, with so much information available online, you also have to add a digital description of the source you use. That digital access requires a second layer. The third layer is the citing layer and may or may not be used. I'll go over that in just a few minutes. We separate these layers by using a semicolon, and we think of the information for each of these layers as being stuck together. That means that we don't mix citation information between the layers. Now, you may be thinking, Gray, you said that this would be easy, but it sounds pretty complicated. But I promise you, it is not complicated. You just need the 5 Ws for the physical and digital access layers. You don't need them for the citing layer. Are the 5 Ws of every citation? Well, let's start with who. Who created, edited, or published the source? Was it a person like an author, the federal government like a census, a county court like a probate record, or a religious organization like a baptismal book? What is the source? Its title or type, the name of a book, article, or website. If it doesn't have a title, is it a birth certificate or a death register entry? Next is the question of when. When was the source created or published? When did the event take place? A published book of death register entries could have a publication date and the individual date you're looking for. W is where is the source? That's the next question to ask. Where is the source located if it's unpublished? In a newspaper article, for example, it would be the place of publication. For a website, it's the URL. You can also add where the event took place. And last, where in the source? What are the details that get you to the right page or image? If you think of these 5 Ws, who, what, when, where is, and wherein, you'll always have enough information to get you back to any source. Before I show you some examples, I want to tell you that these are not the only ways to cite sources. You can have what genealogist Tom Jones calls a house style, your style. As long as you can get back to the source, it's all good. I'm going to cite what I find in Evidence Explained because that's what I use. Let's start with one of the most commonly used sources in genealogy, census records. This is from the 1850 U.S. population schedule for the Daniel Plummer family. They lived in Cape Elizabeth, Maine. The census was taken on August 10, 1850, by Samuel Thompson, assistant marshal. Notice the handwritten 648 in the upper right-hand corner has been scratched out. Another number, 655, was written in, and there's a stamped number, 330. Daniel's dwelling is numbered as 28, and he was the 28th family the enumerator visited. This is a digital copy of an original document, so we treat it like an original. I've color coded the different sections so we can see each a little more clearly. This is an online image, so we will have both the physical layer in orange, like we are holding a copy of the census in our hands, and a digital layer in blue. Let's answer the 5 Ws. In the physical layer, again in orange, the answer to who is the United States government. They created this record. The what is the population schedule census for Daniel Plummer. The when is 1850. The where is Cumberland County in Maine, especially Cape Elizabeth. And the where in is page 655, penned or handwritten, or 330 stamped, dwelling 28, family 28. I have it in the form used in evidence explained, but if all you do is write down the 5 Ws and answer them, you've made a good citation. When we're done with the entire physical access section, use a semicolon to show you're adding a new layer. Now, before we write the digital access information, we typically use terms that describe what we found, such as a digital image, digital database with images, or browsable images. You'll see I chose digital image in green. Now for the digital layer. The who is Ancestry. They are the ones who are giving us access to this record. The what is the 1850 United States Census. We are including the year because it's part of the collection's title. We access the image on March 15th, 2024. That's our answer to when. The where is Ancestry's website URL, and the where in is the image number. I usually put the of number so that when I get back to looking at the image, I know I'm in the right collection. The citing layer is one that is no longer used for census records because they're all digitized and online at many different websites. We used to write in the NARA microfilm number and what roll it was on, but that's no longer needed. But for many other kinds of records, there will be a citing section, and that tells us who originally housed the record. Next, let's look at a vital record, the death certificate of my great-grandfather, Eli Bernard Stabley. He was married and worked as an operator at DuPont. This is a digital copy of an original, so we're going to treat it as an original. The citation is written out with a physical layer in orange, the digital layer in blue, and this time a citing layer indicating where Ancestry got this image from. The WHO is the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Health for the first layer, and Ancestry for the second. The what is a death certificate for Eli B. Stabley for the physical layer, and the digital layer is the collection, Pennsylvania U.S. Death Certificates 1906 to 1973. The when for the physical layer is 1931, which was his date of death. And for the digital layer, the when is January 2nd, 2020, which is the date I accessed this record on Ancestry. The where is, well, that's the same as who, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of Health. If you find the same answer to several questions, you don't need to add it again. The URL is the where is for the digital layer. The where in is the certificate number, since there is no page number, and the image number answers this question for the digital layer. There is a citing layer in this citation because we need to know where Ancestry obtained this certificate. It came from the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission in Harrisburg. Now, if you don't include this part, the citation police are not going to come and hunt you down. It's just nice to know that if you wanted to go look at the original, this is where you would go find it. Ancestry has tried to provide you with many parts of the source citation. When you access a record, you'll see a button like this one on the right-hand side of the screen. Click on it and it will expand. First, you'll see the details section, which gives some, but not all of the information found in the record. But if you click on the word source, you'll find valuable information to make your citation for this record complete. Our next example is a published book that is found online. Again, just answer the 5 Ws. There is no author listed for this book, so there's no answer to who, and that may happen for any one of the 5 Ws. If it's not available, don't worry about it and move on. For the digital layer, this answer is Internet Archive. The answer to what is the title of the book, along with the publisher information. I have no what for the digital layer because it didn't come from a database or a collection. The when for the physical layer is the publishing date, which we've already included. The answer to when for the digital layer is the date I accessed this book online. Where is the publishing company information, but you don't have to repeat it as it's included with the what. And like other citations of items found online, the answer to where is in the digital layer is the URL. Where in the book is the page number, and where in the online image is the image number. In Evidence Explained, Elizabeth Schoen Mills has templates for all basic citations. This is one of them. Notice the publisher information is all together in parentheses. But again, as long as you have the basic information as to the book's title, page number, what website you found it on, the URL, and the image number, you'd have a good citation. Websites have a simple one-layer citation. You can't hold them in your hand, so they just have a digital layer. The who is the author, Samuel Shipley in orange in this case. The what is the website title, Britannica.com, that's in blue. The when is the access date. I've colored that in green. The where is the URL, that's in purple. And the where in is the item we used on the website, that's in red. Just jot down the basics and you'll have a good citation. Many times churches will put their record books into volumes or series. Let's follow the 5 W's to write this citation. The who is St. Mary's Catholic Church of Springfield, Illinois, which also takes care of part of the where is. The what is a parish register, specifically a baptism for Margaret O'Brien. When is the date of the baptism? The where in is volume 2, page 47. And remember, we already answered where is. Remember not to repeat any information if it's already covered. This citation also includes a citing layer to say who holds the original book. If this were found online, we'd also have a digital layer. I love citing newspapers. I think they are some of the most straightforward citations you can have. There is no known author for this particular obituary, so the physical layer has no who. For the digital layer, it's ancestry. The what is the title of the section of the newspaper, deaths, and the newspaper title. Since many states could have a newspaper titled the York Dispatch, it's good to put what state it's in. You could put Pennsylvania after the entire title of the paper, but this is how Evidence Explained does it. There is no what for the digital layer. The when is the date the article was published, and for the digital layer, it's when I accessed it. The where is has been covered by the what, so you don't need that. Don't repeat it. And the URL is the what for the digital access layer. The where in is always the easy part. That's the details of page and column. And there is no image number on newspapers.com. We all use online databases where you have to go down the yellow brick road trying to find your ancestor. Stop and think about what you're using. Could you hold this source in your hands? No. So you won't have the physical access layer. The database is only found online at Ancestry, Family Search, or MyHeritage. So you'll only have the digital layer and the citing layer, which tells you where the website obtained the source. Sometimes the URL for these records can be long, so you can shorten it to just the collection's number and then use carets to point the reader the rest of the way. Then you provide details about the record for the who, what, when, and so on. Databases almost always have a root source you need to cite, like a state archives or a county clerk's office. That will be your citing layer. You've been doing a lot of writing this year. I hope you've included source citations in your work. Sometimes you have a piece of information you need to explain. Does it go in the narrative or does it go in the footnote? The rule of thumb is that if it's about your story, people, or an event, it goes in the narrative. If you need to talk about the record or explain facts that don't belong in the narrative, then it goes in the footnote. In this particular example, I was writing about the probate packet of Simon E. Mudgett. Well, smack dab in the middle of his probate packet was Dr. Simeon Mudgett. And in this particular case, I wanted to explain that there were two pages in the middle of Simon E. Mudgett's that didn't belong to him. On the bottom citation, I also wanted to explain the spelling of the surname Mudgett and how I was going to be spelling that as I went through the project. Before I show you two ways to make writing citations less cumbersome, I want to tell you that these are not the only way to cite your sources. Again, you can have a house style. As long as you can get back to the source, it's all good. I'm going to cite what I find in Evidence Explained because that's the reference I use. Autotext is a built-in feature in Word that stores reusable blocks of text, formatting, and even images. Save your most used citation templates as autotext entries, then insert them with a few keystrokes. No extra software is needed. I don't use autotext, so I won't go into detail here, but I just wanted you to know that it's there and it's free. Expander is a tool I do use, and that lets you save citation templates, abbreviations, and frequently used phrases as short snippets. Type a quick shortcut and it instantly expands into a full, properly formatted citation, saving time and reducing errors every time you document a source. There is some setup time, but it's very affordable. So if you don't have a lot of footnotes or repetitive typing, this may be good for you. So in the example on the screen, the only things I have to fill in are the items that are circled. The rest is already typed in for me, so I don't have to do it. Mistakes surrounding source citations. You only say you got it on Ancestry and think you'll be able to find it again. Record collections can change at any time, so add more information like the name of the collection, the image number, or even the original source. Always put the access date for online sources because the content can change and you want to know when you looked at it. Don't just copy down information from someone else's tree without verifying what they have. Their tree is a clue, not evidence. Find the original sources and cite them yourself. If you're lucky enough to view a family Bible, identify the owner and how they came to have it in their possession. Where did they acquire it? Write down the publishing information and grab an image if you can of the family pages. And the most common citation mistake is thinking you'll remember to go back and cite because you won't. Gather all the citation information you'll need while the source is in front of you. Some tips to get you started. Don't feel you have to go back and change everything or make it better. Starting now, make it a habit to cite the sources you use. Also, remember to cite the sources you didn't find anything in. Those negative searches can add up to a lot of time if you keep going back to them. Use a template or a tool to make citations easier. Also, decide on your house style. Once you have something you like, stay consistent. For example, decide when you write out the name of a county. Are you going to put the word county after it or spelled out or just CO period? Cite what you actually used. Cite what you see, a book, a microfilm, or a digital image. Something is better than nothing. Don't let perfectionism get in your way. Do your best and move on. And keep a copy of Evidence Explained nearby or Elizabeth Shown Mill's newest book, Your Stripped Bare Guide to Citing and Using History Sources. You can find it on Amazon.com. Told you I use the reference book Evidence Explained. If you don't want to purchase one, there is also the website evidenceexplained.com where you'll find all of these tips and lessons. Mastering Genealogical Proof and Mastering Genealogical Documentation are two books by Thomas W. Jones that I would recommend for learning more about sources and citations. If you're interested in learning more about genealogy standards, you can purchase the little book written by the Board for Certification of Genealogists found on the BCG website. And both BCG and ICAP-GEN, which is the International Commission for the Accreditation of Professional Genealogists, have websites and YouTube channels to learn more. The key takeaways from today's talk. Citations are your trail of breadcrumbs. They let you and others find, verify, and evaluate every source you used. Not all sources are equal. Understanding what a source is, what it tells you, and how it answers your research question makes your citations more meaningful. Every citation answers the 5 questions: who created the source? What is it? When? Where is and wherein is the source? And cite what you see. Every layer matters.